Ahoy, mateys, and happy July 4th. Welcome aboard the Shallows, the pod designed specifically for all you 10-team and smaller league managers out there. I'm your captain, Eric Henriksen, alongside chief mate Carson Picard. Carson, how are the Seas faring today on this July 1st?
Well, I am currently recovering from the weather that you are currently experiencing, where we are all baking and sweating and going insane. It's thankfully very cool in my basement at the moment where I record this, so hence the coat. But a few days ago, I was a lump of sweaty mush.
Yes, I love that time of year when we just sit in sweaty mush. It's fun. What do they call that? Swamp behind, I think is what they call that, right? To keep it G.
Yeah.
Favorite time of year. The swamp poop deck. Absolutely hilarious. Love it. Okay, on today's show, we've got the captain's report. We've got a segment called New Crewmates, players that have been productive over the last month or 2 months that may be worth considering adding to your rosters. And rebound or staying down, players with a weak first half that we are expecting to either have a much stronger second half or continue their struggles. But before we officially leave port, we release a new episode every Friday. The audio version releases at 7 a.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcast, and the video version premieres on YouTube the same night at 8 p.m. Eastern as well. If you want to see our beautiful made-for-radio mugs, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a 5-star rating, like a thumbs up, a kind review, and don't forget we're part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network, so check out the other pods we have available. There are new episodes out daily, and visit pitcherlist.com for all the latest and greatest content published as well. Carson, how are the first pitch pods going for you?
First Pitch Podcast going swimmingly. You can catch me there every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and see more of this luscious locks.
Love it. The locks, keeping the locks luscious at this time of year when the humidity is past 10 is impressive.
It's freshly washed today, so they're doing all right. Don't come back to me tomorrow. We'll see how it fares. But one of my friends has really curly hair, and they were talking. They're just all frizzed up, and thankfully my hair is a little finer and thinner, and I'm able to keep it settled down. But
I'll take just a few of your locks for whatever is left up there on the dome. Worst hair in baseball goes to Brandon Marsh, who we will talk about in just a little bit when we come back. It's the Captain's Report, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. That's Carson Picard. I'm Eric Henriksen, and this is your Captain's Report. We're going to start off with injuries, and we said last week he was one of our top performers, and he was doing so well. And what did we say? Please stay healthy. And guess what he didn't do? He didn't stay healthy, Carson. Wyatt
they never
Langford,
do.
Never do. Wyatt Langford back to the 10-day IL. I believe this is his 6th career IL stint already with a hamstring strain, most likely out until after the All-Star break. Just stay out until after the All-Star break. Come back healthy, and then please stay healthy. Oh, my goodness. It's extremely frustrating. Carson, not in a redraft context, but what are you doing with Wyatt Langford in sort of like a dynasty or keeper context?
I think you have to value him as a really premier player still. He definitely, even in the little flashes he's shown over the last month, he's still proven to be great. And I think Wyatt Langford's, 22, I want to say?
Yeah.
Like he's crazy. Yeah. He's still crazy young. And so his value is still super high. That being said, I think this does hurt his long-term value. And maybe I'd be interested to see in a couple of years what his contract valuation is, because his injury total is starting to rack up, and I don't think I'm necessarily willing to put that injury-prone tag on him just yet, but he's an eligible candidate.
Yeah, he's in line. Of course, it's only a matter of time before Giancarlo Stanton hands off that banner when he retires for most injured player ever. Okay, Corey Seager, talk about injuries and injury-prone, to the 10-day IL with lower back inflammation. Another guy who just can't seem to stay healthy. Texas has had no luck on the injury front in their lineup this season. Tyler Soderstrom also to the 10-day IL with a left hip impingement. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Do you know what a hip impingement is?
Well, I can tell you this. It's something that has been relevant in my camp as well with Byron Buxton. I'll steal the next dot from you. Byron Buxton goes with the right hip impingement. This is I'm pulling this up right here just to exactly make sure I have all the details. It basically, I think it's a discomfort in the hip. Whether just something's wrong. I don't know exactly the medical terminology, but I don't think it's anything like a fracture or anything like that, but just some general soreness.
Sure. Tyler Soderstrom to the 10-day. Yeah. Sure. Hip soreness. I mean, Tyler Soderstrom to the 10-day IL with the hip impingement. Byron Buxton missing his 3rd straight game today with the hip impingement. Off day tomorrow for your Twins, and then probably I'm going to guess he's back in the lineup on Friday. If he's not feeling any better, then he goes to the IL retroactively. But for someone who perpetually lives with a hip impingement, according to our own definition, I guess it would not be easy to play with. All right.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. All right. Hunter Green, some good news on the injury front. He is going to be back this weekend, Saturday versus Baltimore. Are you getting Hunter Green immediately back into your rotation?
Nope. Well, that's just because. Well, no, because
sure.
I mean, this is the rule. It's the rule, and listen, Hunter Green is great and all that, but dare I say, Hunter Green is the kind of pitcher that is very much reliant on both of his pitches really working very well. If they're not, things can go south quickly. And he's the kind of player that I think I would kind of like to see. Is he really back? And Baltimore is no easy lineup to take over. If they've got Pete Alonso, they've got a lot of strong hitters in there, top to bottom of that lineup. So no, I wouldn't put him back immediately. And of course, I think you should have room where that shouldn't make or break your week.
Sure, yeah, fair enough. Especially because it's a Saturday. If you had, I don't know, not many pitchers went on the IL this week. One pitcher was on the IL already and just got moved to the 60-day IL, and he's going for further evaluation. It's actually a shoulder issue, and that's Kris Bubic. Are you cutting bait anywhere you have Bubic stashed in your IL? Yeah,
yep.
Me too.
Yep.
In fact, I have to do that after this pod. I have to drop him. I think I have him in 2 leagues stashed on the IL, and it's time to say goodbye because this is the second time he's stopping his rehab assignment because of renewed arm issues. Not great. Over under. He pitches again this season. I was going to give you a percentage, but I couldn't think of it. What am I
over under
50%?
1 inning pitch. I'm Bubic. I don't think he pitches again this season. Everything about the verbiage to this whole thing seems like it's 2027 or 2028.
Let's hope not.
Oof.
Yeah,
not for injury reasons, but
not great, Bob, as they say.
Yeah.
Top performers over the last week. Not a top performer. Drake Baldwin, 3 for 48 since coming back from the injured list with 22 strikeouts. What is he, Cal Raleigh? What is going on here? Are you keeping the faith in Drake Baldwin?
Yes, but good Lord, what is Atlanta is struggling a lot this month. I think I saw a stat they were 9-14, I want to say, which means they've been as good as the New York Mets.
Woof.
That's not complimentary. But yeah, Drake Baldwin, he's a great player and all the tools are still there and whatnot. This is, it's rough, but I don't think you can. Maybe this is one of those cases where you bench him until he proves it.
Fair enough. On the Atlanta Braves note, are you starting somebody like Dustin May against Atlanta this weekend, knowing full well, I think he actually pitches tomorrow. So this is not an actionable item for you listeners out there right now, but perhaps you can stream a different pitcher against Atlanta, sort of in the same tier as Dustin May. Dustin May missed his last start with lower back soreness, is now scheduled to pitch against Atlanta tomorrow on July 2nd. We're recording this on Wednesday, July 1st. Are you starting pitchers of that ilk against Atlanta at the moment?
Until Ronald Acuna Jr. comes back, yes.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So.
And Acuna is out through the All-Star break, confirmed by the manager yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. All right, now let's get to the real top performers. Griffin, as we like to call him, Fat Stacks Jax, finally went 6 innings in a start this week. Now, it wasn't an overwhelmingly dominant start, but he did finally go 6 innings Every startup up to this point was 5 innings or less. Is he worthy of a roster spot?
No, I don't think so in shallow leagues. And it's for the same reasons I think that I've echoed for a while, which is that he does not have the strikeouts and walks that work really well. I love Griffin Jax so much. He has great swing and miss stuff and some of the better stuff in baseball. But overall, he gets hit reasonably hard, and he doesn't strike a lot of guys out. The walks, I mean, there was a really reason he was a reliever. Add to that he doesn't have some volume upside. I don't really see it working that well. I know he's done well on an ERA standpoint so far, but like his whip is still pretty not great. I just don't think whatever he's doing can continue. Peripherals back that up.
Yeah, I would say anyone who's considering Griffin Fat Sacks Jax, would you roster a long reliever in your league, generally speaking? The answer is probably no, unless you play in like some weird settings with innings.
Not in a shallow league, no.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like Griffin Jax is kind of just like a long reliever who happens to start the game, you know, because good win chance, I guess, with Tampa Bay, but lower chance when you're only going 5 innings most of the time. All right, moving on to his teammate, Junior Caminero. 10 for 22 over the last week, 7 homers and 4 walks. The man is en fuego.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's going to participate, I believe, in the home run derby after finishing second last year, looking to bring home the crown. He's just been outstanding. The trop is not affecting him. Mookie Betts, 11 for 26 with 3 homers and way more impressively, honestly, is 1 strikeout over the last week. That's pretty crazy. Is Mookie back?
Kinda, a little. I mean, these home runs weren't like crushed. I think, some of these were kind of wall scrapers more or less, but the contact's definitely there. And I think like we've talked about this a couple times before, a lot of the overall batted ball quality has been pretty solid for Mookie. And I love the fact that he's getting the bat to the ball more. It's old head kind of talk, but when you're able to put the ball in play and not just on the ground, but actually make it productive, give solid contact, things are going to shake out in your favor, generally speaking. So Mookie Betts, 1 strikeout, generally solid contact approach, a bit of slug to boot. I like it.
Yeah, I dig it as well. See, you probably missed your buy low window if you were interested in buying Mookie Betts, though. Can't say that was a common thing around the industry. All right, next up here, let's move to the pitching side real quick. Cade Cavalli just went absolutely bonkers yesterday.
In more ways than one.
In more ways than one. But over the last week, 13 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 20 strikeouts, and I think I looked this up more impressively, a .54 whip. Carson, is Cade Cavalli sort of like entering the circle of trust?
Cade Cavalli is really good. He is starting to be really good. Yeah. He's a guy that I've liked for a while. He's always someone I think when I've been doing the first pitch, I've been eager to see how he's done, if his starts have lined up on the weekends. Generally been pretty solid all year. Had some nice attributes going along with him. He's had a couple great performances here. Now, first of all, the elephant in the room is he might be facing a suspension by the time this episode comes out. Who really knows? It's a bit interesting. If you didn't see it, a bit of a rhubarb with Wilson Contreras in a
second night in a row. He got thrown out.
But yeah, Cade Cavalli generally really strong. I think he's absolutely worth a weak opponent stream.
Good way of putting it. Yeah, he at one point in the season was one of 2 pitchers to strike out double digits in consecutive starts. I have not kept up with that particular stat, but if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't really done that since much, if at all. And so I'm a little worried about his whip situation. He is a high whip guy, and I tend not to trust those guys much at all. But if he is showing a change to his approach or pitch mix, then maybe I could get interested in Cade Cavalli as well. He's definitely a back-end streamer type. Like, if you just have a roster spot to play with, like you said, stream him against the weak opponents. A guy who was featured on this list last week, and I thought, okay, I was going to feature him right after Drake Baldwin there for a second based on poor performance, because we said he was phenomenal last week, that he was doing so well. After we recorded, he then proceeded to go 0 for 16. Okay. But since he's gone 8 for 13 with 5 homers and 11 RBIs, that includes today. And that is Dansby Swanson. But did you just write that he had 20 strikeouts over the last week? Is that
no, that was for
okay.
Cavalli.
That's for Cavalli.
Not quite.
Okay.
I believe.
Because I was gonna say there's no way he's going that hot. That means he struck out basically every time he's made it out. Dansby's been great. 3 homer, 8 RBI game today. If he's on your wire, just go pick him up. Suffer through the 0 for 16 so that when he does hit, he does something productive for you. He's on a very interesting tear at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Dansby is someone that obviously has a lot of nice fantasy upside with a bit of power steal. Has not stolen a base, I think maybe 1 in the last week. Well, it was right. He hasn't stolen any since that mad stretch that he had. And then the second stretch where he went 0 for 16. So on that side of things, not great, but did have a 2-homer day the last day of June. So Dansby Swanson still kicking it.
Yeah, if he for some reason is out there and you need an injury replacement, or you're like me and lost Tyler Soderstrom at first base, picked up Paul Goldschmidt, and then Goldie started getting real cold, just like the rest of the Yankees, and you have a spot to play with, like I did, and pick up Dansby Swanson, do it. Why not? You'll reap the benefits of 3 homers and 8 RBIs. Can't say that's going to happen every day, but it's a better chance of happening right now than you would think. All right, next up, Esmerlyn Valdez, 571 batting average over the last week, 4 homers, 7 RBIs. This one I can't get behind. Major contact issues in the minor leagues. Pitchers just don't have the book on him yet here in the majors. As soon as they get it, I think he goes back into a pumpkin. What do you think, Carson?
I do agree. I generally agree. He does have great things happen when he makes contact. The contact, though, is the big question. I mean, this might be a kind of case where, I mean, that book isn't published yet, so see what you can do. But it seems like the Pirates are warming up to using him a little bit more often. That's something that's encouraging. But overall, yeah, I do agree. Generally, I think this is a really hot stretch, but I think there's a lot of tools there. Maybe not a name for this year, but someone to keep in the back of your mind.
Good tip there. Luis Garcia Jr., 500 batting average over the last week, 4 homers, 9 RBIs. We're just going to get him out of the way real quick here. He rarely plays against left-handers. I think to the point where he has started against maybe 2 since April. So just be aware, he is a platoon if you're going to pick him up. I know he's eligible at first and second base. Second base looking a lot better. First base extremely deep. So maybe he ends up in your utility spot if you need, again, to stream a hot hitter. We're getting to the point in the season where if you have a roster spot, maybe just pick up the guy that's hot and you could just throw him back to the wire, because the long-term high upside players probably not on the wire at the moment for you. Now, that can change on a week-to-week basis, but I'm a little more open at this point in the season to streaming hot bats. Colorado players, when they're at cores, or like Caleb Durbin, for example, who we talked about last week, guys who are just hot in the moment at this point in the season, because I'm starting to look less at long-term and more of the short-term to either try and make up ground in the standings or keep my place there and push towards the playoffs. Brandon Marsh, who I alluded to earlier in the show as having the worst hair in Major League Baseball. 333 batting average over the last week, an OPS over 1,000, and 3 homers. Now, Brandon Marsh is someone we have not talked about. He's having basically a season like this where he's doing this week after week after week. Is he worthy of trusting to where you may target Brandon Marsh if you're in need of an outfielder who a player who may not come at an extreme cost.
Marsh is so tricky because he's running a high BABIP, and he's a guy that runs a high BABIP. That's just, he runs as a low under percentage. That's what he does. But Marsh overall is outperforming a lot of stuff, even more so than kind of he typically does. He's a guy that is not a 300 hitter. He usually hangs out in the 260, 280 range, and certainly not a guy that has as much pop as he's demonstrating. 14 home runs in 81 games. I mean, this is not as good as he usually is. I feel like this is a really dangerous time to target Marsh because you're buying on a 300, 500 slug, 300 batting average, 500 slug guy, when I don't think that's going to be the value you're going to be getting over the second half of the year. So overall, I think Marsh is someone that, despite how much I like in their game and their situation and how they've been performing, it's a series of hot streaks I don't think can continue really in the second half. I think it's a poor investment.
I agree with you. I think he's a prime, if you have him, sell high candidate, and maybe some buy low candidates that we'll talk about in a little bit later on in the show. But I think he's a prime sell high candidate. And if he were to be included in a counter offer to me in a trade negotiation, I may try and manipulate him out of that. Like, I don't want him to have to take up the roster spot because he's been too good to drop, but I don't think he's going to be that good, like you said, Carson, going forward. All right, and last up on the list here, somebody that we've talked about as being ice cold, that it might be time to move on from. In fact, I think both of us said it's time to move on from him. But Trea Turner is having a little bit of a resurgence here over the last few weeks, but over the last 7 days, 344 batting average, 989 OPS, 2 homers, 8 runs scored, and a stolen base to boot. Is he turning things around is basically the question.
Yeah, like, it's a nice week for Turner, but here's the bottom line. He has this really nice week, and his OPS for the month of June is still below 700. Oof. I mean, you like what you're seeing in Turner here, and the stolen bases are nice. That's been something he's been putting more into his game of the last couple months, and I think that's going to keep him around for you. But I think this is one of those cases where it's it's don't get too attached to him, and he's on thin ice. If he's in a big slump, if he comes back to have another big slump or what have you, I don't think you can have too much risk in just getting rid of him.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up the captain's report. Nice long captain's report for you. It's that part of the season where a lot happens, but also very little happens. That's kind of a little repetitive. So we're trying to find new fun ways to expand the captain's report beyond just injury, coming back from injury. I like these top performers, man. That was a really good idea from you, Carson.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. When we come back, it's new crewmates, players that have been productive over the last month or two that you may want to consider adding to your roster. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. I'm Eric Hendrickson. That's Carson Picard. And this is new crewmates, players that have been productive over the last month or two that may be worth considering. First up on the list, the guy I have rostered in a couple leagues is Sam Antonacci. He's basically been Nico Horner, I think.
Yeah, Nico Horner with a bit more pop. Sam Antonacci has been really nice generally. I doubted him. I was a Sam Antonacci doubter. I was wrong. Coming up in the minor league, sometimes I think contact first guys coming out of AAA can struggle to have all that contact upside in Major League Baseball, and the lack of pop in their game can really be an issue with them. But Sam Antonacci so far, I mean, he's been really solid generally. I mean, he's seeing 291, 391 on base percentages, great 11 steals to just rattle off a bunch of stuff. Generally been very effective at having that contact first archetype with a bit of gap power, with a bit of pop to boot that makes him more than just your really soft hitting Stephen Kwan, Chandler Simpson kind of type contact first guy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Sam Antonacci. I like his multi-position eligibility as well, especially which is fake, but yes. It's minor league positions. Yeah, and he had a great showing at the World Baseball Classic too. So I think he's he feels like he's just a baseball player, like a guy that just lives and breathes baseball.
So do you think he's here? Basically, do you think that he's going to be like a really relevant player and someone that's going to be productive going forward, despite the lack in slug?
Yeah. If you like to invest in somebody like Nico Hoerner, yes. I'm not one of those people. I actually have him on the deepest teams or the deepest leagues that I'm in. As far as shallows go, though, I mean, would you drop Nico Hoerner for Sam Antonacci? They're basically the same player. One's been bad.
Yeah, I mean, probably, right? Or here's some other ones. Would you draw? I mean, you could rattle off a list of everyone. We'll get to that later, but just there's a bunch of guys you can probably think of that have been relatively poor to start the year. Would you drop Trea Turner?
No,
and that's a little harder, but one's been performing a lot better.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, basically, Sam Antonacci is like Trea Turner, but hitting 290 instead of 230.
I'm not sure Antonacci's an 800 OPS guy. That's the thing. I think he's probably more of like
why not?
Because the power's not there, and it's there, but it's not 20 homer upside. I think it's like 12 homer upside.
Sure,
and unless he's just gonna hit doubles for every other hit, it's gonna be really hard for him to maintain an OPS above 800.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of the things he absolutely is really good at, Eric, is getting hit. He's really good at getting hit, which is a skill. It's a real thing. He's good. How many? I forgive me, listeners, because I have to look this up to make sure my numbers are correct. But Sam Antonacci is not the craziest guy at drawing walks, but so far this year, he has been hit by. Drum roll, please. 17 pitches.
What?
Which is leading Major League Baseball, despite being a midseason call-up. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's something that he's just gonna, if you're on, let me put it this way. If you're on an on-base percentage league, Sam Antonacci has a really nice ability to get on base in a sneaky way that can sometimes fall on the radar because he's not great at walks. But anyone who's ever been a Cubs fan or Yankees fan does know Anthony Rizzo can, and you can make quite a living off of getting nailed.
I would just say, please stay healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's
wear an arm guard,
Yep. Dangerous way of getting on base. All right, next up here is a guy that I was looking at maybe picking him up just because I needed outfield help. I have Langford and Acuna on the IL, and it's a real struggle bus in the outfield. But I couldn't do it because I really don't like the underlying numbers. I think that the hot streak that he's on could end at any second, and that is Jake McCarthy. Are you adding Jake McCarthy? I didn't.
In a shell league, I added him in one of my leagues, but that's it's an interesting because that's a 14-team league, but it's a dynasty league, so sometimes your pickings can be very slim there, and sometimes you do have to make those tricky decisions. You're right. The underlying numbers aren't great. Here's the thing, though. He does play in Colorado.
I know.
And he's really dang fast.
Yes.
And so sometimes with those guys that have that 99th percentile speed, some of the normal logic kind of flies out the window. The same with like fastball velocity too, right? Oh, he doesn't command it that well. Okay, well, he throws 101 miles an hour. Who cares? For McCarthy, he has just an excellent ability to get the bat on, seemingly an excellent ability to just be able to get, this sounds so stupid. He has a great ability to get hits, despite the fact that he doesn't necessarily have the tools that seem to amount to getting a lot of hits. He doesn't crunch the ball. He doesn't have a crazy low whiff rate or something like that. And he does play in Colorado, and that really eases over a lot of concerns I have with him. Right now, I think this is the thing, Eric. We're at the stage where I don't know if he's going to be that great in a month, but dang it, he's good now.
Right. Yep, that's kind of what I was saying before. It's like this is the point in the season where it's more important to just get the production. I'm not looking long term. He's hot, pick him up. And that's kind of just I'm not overturning my roster doing that. I play in a league where somebody does do that. They literally, like, that's how they survive. They draft basically all pitching, and all they do all year is use all their ads on hitters. And it is absolutely bonkers that they are able to even be remotely successful doing that. Okay. I'm not suggesting doing that. What I'm suggesting is the back end of your roster. We talked about that ad nauseum at the beginning of the year. Overturn the back end of your roster. And now, instead of searching for the guys that we think are going to be great for the rest of the season, we're looking for the guys that are going to be great right now instead of betting on a bounce back. Because there's not that much time. There's time, but there's not that much time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's getting late early. All right, next up on the list, his teammate, TJ Rumfield. Talk about not hitting the ball very hard.
Yeah.
But he's hot.
He's hot. And though this is an opposite case where, despite he's also a Colorado Rocky, the thing I don't like about Rumfield a lot, first of all, he is a very tall, contact-first lefty. Strange. Rare.
John
Rare.
Olerud.
Yeah,
like
really.
John Olerud, right?
Well, even Olerud could get up there and get some, back in the day. Remind me, was he the one that wore a helmet on first base?
Yes.
I know my baseball history, folks. Don't you come at me. I had one of you in spring was talking to me about knowing baseball history. And listen, bucko, I know my stuff. Don't come at me.
Keep the receipts, Carson. Keep those receipts.
I keep them. It was back when I said, Skeens is one of the best ever. And he was just like, this guy doesn't know baseball history. Like, excuse me. First of all, when I talk about best pitchers ever, I talk about like Satchel Paige. I know my pitchers. Anyway. Walter Johnson, greatest pitcher in Twins franchise history. But
there you go.
Technically true. I digress. TJ Rumfield is not an elite player like the likes of all those I just mentioned. He is someone that does not hit the ball very hard. Left platoon contact bat is weird.
Yes.
And he doesn't have steals upside that can make up for a lot of concerns, unlike Jake McCarthy. Like, McCarthy's a guy that can get on base a decent amount just because by the nature of him being in Colorado, the balls are going to land, and then he can make up for some of the lack of slug with some steals. That's excellent. With Rumfield, he has a decent amount of pop, but he's a first baseman and a pure first baseman at that. I don't like a lot of things about his game. And the expected metrics agree with me. He is outperforming them a lot. I don't like a lot of the tools. I do not think he's worth the ad in shallow leagues.
I was choosing between him and Goldie, and I went with Goldie, and I ended up with Dansby. So that's how that's gone. Okay, Cade Cavalli. We talked about him earlier. We're adding Cade Cavalli, back end of your rotation, stream against weaker opponents, right?
Yeah, although I will say, when you mentioned Cavalli's whip earlier, I did take a peek at what it was the last couple months. It was about a 116. So, relatively quite a decent bit lower. That's totally fine. I think for some of those, like, not Dodgers teams and that upper third of offenses, avoid those perhaps. And I think Cavalli is absolutely a guy that can be relevant in shallow leagues.
It's pretty wild that his whip is 1.16. What'd you say, over the last month or 2 months?
Since May.
Since May. That's pretty wild. That means it was terrible in April. His whip must have been like one. Yeah, that's not good. Yep. But as we said, April performance is not indicative of season-long outlook. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, June is actually more indicative. So if you had a great June, which you did, maybe pick him up. All right, moving on. We've got a couple Twins here for you. Royce Lewis. Is Royce Lewis back in the circle of trust? Are we adding Royce Lewis?
Well, we actually cut a Twin on the list here because I realized I had too many. And I listen, I try not to let my homerisms creep in here. And I let it all the time.
Let it happen.
I think in fairness, this one is at least relatively legitimate because Royce Lewis, since returning from injury in early June, 279, 330, 512. Been pretty solid overall, 5 home runs in that stretch. Generally, Royce Lewis, I mean, and here's the thing, a little anecdotally, the swings looked better. Like it's looked tighter, it's looked more aggressive, kind of that I call it like that Bryce Harper kind of intensity in the swing, which you kind of like to see, or he really just wants to make that ball suffer.
Yep.
I like that.
Eye test matters.
Now, is he outperforming his ex-Woba by a considerable bit? Yes, he is. Does he also have eligibility at some of the weaker positions in baseball? Yes, he does. So I think Royce is a really interesting ad. Eric, I'll flip it to you. What do you think?
Yes, I picked him up in the Pitcherless Staff League, which is it's a 12-team league, but the rosters aren't huge. So I picked him up there. I slotted him into one of the 2 utility spots because I bought into the swing change that he's made, and I have not regretted adding him. Look, I lost Jose Ramirez in that league, put him right into third base. So, I have not regretted adding Royce Lewis since he's gotten recalled from AAA, where he was a monster and proved that he belongs in Major League Baseball. Look, guys can go through mechanical issues, especially guys who get hurt a lot because they start doing something compensatory for the swing. Unless your name is Cody Bellinger and you intentionally change your swing after winning the MVP and then destroy your career. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. For a couple seasons.
I buy into the theory that high five broke him.
I have not heard that theory.
Oh, he went up to have a high five after a home run and it hurt his shoulder.
Oh, really?
We'll talk to you later about the show.
Oh, interesting.
You audience, you're smart. You know what I'm talking about.
All right, next up, Victor Caratini.
Second twin.
Yeah, second twin. I was, or as you could, the other twin. They are twins. Anyway, I could.
Nice, Eric. Yeah,
I tried.
Very funny.
I heard the so I time to move on. Victor Caratini look, catcher's been a pretty deep position, pretty usable position. For guys that we were drafting, Kyle Teal is also now an option out there. Why would we add Victor Caratini?
Because if you've been paying attention, Caratini's been one of the best catchers in baseball in June. Maybe maybe not quite the. Dylan Thingler's been insane, but it's close. I mean, he's hitting. Caratini is hitting 338, 429, 631 in the month of June at the backstop. And he is the full-time backstop for the Twins right now because Ryan Jeffers still out for injury with a hamate bone injury. 5 home runs. Strikeout rate is 15.6%. The walk rate is closing in on 12. So he has very much been like that kind of watching pitches, not swinging and missing. Everything looks really good with Caratini, and the underlying stats do agree. The bat speed isn't crazy, but it's not crazy low. If you pull it up, as far as the offensive metrics are concerned, everything is generally, these are full season numbers, generally solid, above average, really steady. And basically he made a change, and I forget the exact story, but I do know he made a deliberate change to his swing and his approach over the last month or so, and it has paid dividends, and they've talked about it extensively. Victor Caratini has been one of the best players in baseball over the last month.
That's wild. His WOBA and ex-WOBA do not agree with each other. His ex-WOBA is higher, which means good things on the horizon for Victor Caratini. If you need help at catcher, why not? I think he's first base eligible too in some formats.
I would imagine so. Let me just real quick while I'm putting this up. Let me just check in the month of June, just to make sure I have everything ready. Because Caratini's just been insanely good. Yeah, Caratini by WRC Plus, the top hitting catcher in the month of June over Dylan Dingler. It's 172 WRC Plus. Just to put it in perspective of how incredible that is, because Dingler's has 8 home runs in 26 games. So Caratini has been hot.
Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right. Just to wrap out the segment, we have 2 pitchers that we are considering adding to our crew. First up, a guy who's been pretty hot lately, shut down the Yankees. Not that hard to do these days. But Sean Burke. What?
Second time you said that.
Yeah, I know.
Can you tell he's hot and upset?
They've lost 7 in a row, Carson. It's their worst since 2023. And
oh,
the further
boo-hoo. Oh, woe is you.
Listen.
Don't you have some penance you can cry into? Come on.
We are supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball. But we're good
enough. You
to
keep telling us.
Run it back. We're not good enough to run it back because we're missing Aaron Judge. There's literally no one to pick up the slack.
Ooh.
All right, I digress. Back to Sean Burke. Sean Burke has been fantastic over the last month. His peripherals, if I'm not mistaken, they line up perfectly with his surface level numbers. Are we adding Sean Burke?
I think Sean Burke is kind of it's a weird comparison. I think he's sort of a weaker version of Cade Cavalli, and I like Cavalli's upside a bit more. But I think they fall into a similar tier of I like them against weaker opponents, and I think I like Burke more in that bottom half tier. I would hesitate to start Burke in shallow leagues against a team. Oh, who would I hesitate? Against the Athletics, against a team like, let's say, honestly, maybe the Atlanta Braves. I know they've been weak, but I think they still like that talent in there. I would hesitate to do it more so in that kind of middle tier.
Sean Burke over slightly worse whip over the last month than I anticipated, at 1.43, but over the last couple weeks, 19 innings, 22 strikeouts, 1.89 ERA. That's a 10.42 K per 9 with a 105 whip. You got to remember he was getting an opener. That's why he pitched 7 1/3 innings with 8 strikeouts against the Yankees, was in relief.
Right.
What are your opinions on the opener, by the way? Just
I honestly think, unpopular opinion, actually, among pitcher lists. I know Nick hates them. I think more teams should do it, actually. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you're running through the best hitters, why not have a reliever go all out against them and then have your starter get in the groove of the next 6 batters he faces, or 5? You know? I feel like that makes sense as teams are now more building towards your top hitters are usually in order 1, 2, 3, or maybe some amalgamation of that. But usually there's not like the cleanup hitter isn't the best hitter on your team anymore, right? So I'm kind of surprised the opener didn't stick around. I feel like that could be like, imagine, for instance, like Graham Ashcraft as an opener, just like a guy I'm throwing out, just like here's overpowering velocity. Go, it's going to be tricky for the first 3. And then, the guys and then the third time through the order for your starting pitcher isn't the immediately facing the best hitters. It's facing like the second tier. Yeah,
it's not a bad theory. In practice, it's annoying for fantasy because, if you play in a quality start league, that goes out the window. But you do have at least a better chance of wins. I think playing with wins is annoying in itself because sometimes it's up to the official scorer who gets the win.
By the way, this is a live update. Junior Caminero hit a home run, 105 off the bat.
He's good.
So good.
He is so good. So put it on the board. That is 8 home runs over the last week for Junior Caminero. All right, last up on our new crewmates, another pitcher who shut down the Yankees. Make that 3 times that I've mentioned it. Casey Mize, 7 innings, 10 strikeouts against the Yankees earlier this week. And he's actually been very good all season. People have not really been that quick to adopt and buy into Casey Mize in 2026. But let's not forget, this is a guy who was the former number 1 overall pick for Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, you're correct.
So maybe it just took him a while to get there. And I understand a while, he's 28, 29? It's a while, but we have seen pitchers at this point in their career become good for a few years. It's not that crazy to imagine, especially somebody with his level of pedigree. Are you buying into Casey Mize? I have. I've added him in the shallow leagues where he's available.
Well, I got one better on you, Eric, in a dynasty league. I think I bought him 2 years ago. So I have been riding high. Mize guys, where are you?
Hey, just like the Boyd boys, we're the Mize guys. I like it.
The Mize guys. Yeah, it's been weird because usually this kind of stuff happens with an uptick in velocity. We saw that with Tarek Skubal, where his fastball got a lot scarier suddenly, and that really catapulted his success. It's been the opposite for Mize, who's had his fastball velocity decrease by a bit the last couple of years, and yet fastball whiffs have gone up. Overall, I'm just pulling up the metrics here. He's been, in general, extremely effective with all of his pitches, and I think he's had some benefits of weaker opponents. I think there are some aspects of his games I'm a little hesitant for, but he's quickly, if he can continue this and stay healthy a bit, that's something he's struggled with as he's come off the IL. If he can continue going through over the next few weeks, I think we could be in, ace type discussions, as he has a whip below 1 this year.
He does. And his Sierra is 3.41 to a ERA of 2.63. So it's, it's not.
It's above there, but that's also a lot because some of the batted ball distribution. Although I will say his K percentage minus walk percentage over 20%, which is kind of that barrier of like really top echelon of pitchers.
Yeah. Casey Mize has been absolutely fantastic this year. Rostership has not followed suit, to be honest. And if he is out there, 12.8% swing strike rate, by the way, really good.
Really good.
If he's out there, like of all the players that we have named today, I know we're at about the 45-ish minute mark in the show. Of all the players we've named, this is the one that you need to go add. Like without a doubt. If you look and all these players are available, he is priority number 1, in my opinion. I think he's having a breakout.
Join the Mize guys.
Join the Mize guys. We're going to rename the Shallows the Mize guys. All right. When we come back, so that does it for new crewmates. When we come back, it's rebound or staying down. Players with a weak first half that we're expecting to either have a much stronger second half or continue their struggles. Now, these aren't some fringy names. We got some big boy names coming up here, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Shallows. That's Carson. I'm Eric, and this is rebound or staying down. Players with a weak first half that we're expecting to either have a much stronger second half or continue their struggles all season long for eternity and forever and ever and ever until next season. First up.
If there's a next season.
Oh, don't say that. Don't put that evil on us.
I'm not doing it.
What are we going to talk about next season if there is no baseball?
Don't bring that up.
Don't put that evil out in the universe.
Well, right. I'm just saying it exists. I don't want to have to contemplate the consequences of it. That's a different conversation.
That is true. All right. First up here, rebound or staying down is one of the poster children for this particular discussion, and that is somebody we have talked about several times. He had a 2,000 OPS on his minor league rehab assignment. It has been the exact opposite of that since he was activated from the injured list, and that is Cal Raleigh. Carson, is he going to rebound or is he staying down? First, this sounds like Eastbound and Down, which was a great show on HBO, by the way. So is he going to rebound or is he staying down?
I think, I am a Cal Raleigh owner, so despite the fact that I have some stake here, I think he's staying down. I just don't think it's going to be this year. Maybe he has a couple hot streaks. Maybe some things get it, but I think something mechanically is a little weird. And maybe it's like my hypothesis is I think he's trying to do too much. Maybe he's trying to get to that 60 again, and he's swinging for the fences a little too much. He's trying to elevate too much because his fly ball rate's still through the roof. When he makes contact, a lot of his pull air rate is still crazy high. A lot of that stuff's the same. I think there's a mental issue. His under percentage is 44%. That's absurd. So he's off. He's just completely off.
Yes. And
I feel like this might be a thing that fixes itself in the off season. I don't know if in stride, in season, it changes. Maybe he comes out of the All-Star break looking incredible, but he's been horrific against fastballs all year. And that's scary. It's one thing to be off against breaking balls and whatnot. It's another to just struggle against the pitch you should be crushing.
Yes, I 100% agree with you there. I can't, again, if I'm going to say don't put the evil out into the universe of there being no baseball next season, I, as a Raleigh owner, and I need him to turn it around to have a shot this year in this particular league that I've had zero luck in all season, coming off of my 3rd championship in 9 years. I think that Cal Raleigh needs to turn it around.
Oh, yeah.
I used very specific wording there. Will he? I don't know. He's in the 1st percentile for expected batting average. That's not good. It is 180. It is below his weight. That is bad. Bad. Woof. It's not looking good. Let's put it that way. But I have to hold out hope. That's basically what it is. All right, next up, the other poster child for this particular segment is Kyle Tucker going to turn it around, or is he staying down?
I think certainly relative to where he was taken as a guy that was like fringe top 7.
Yeah.
I mean, he was taken way up there. I think there's no shot he comes anywhere close to that.
No.
I think he is going to be, continue to be rosterable, but I would be surprised if his OPS finishes above 760 for the year. What's it at right now, Eric?
Good.
While you search that up, Kyle Tucker, I mean, the thing about him is that he's been just continuously mediocre. And I feel like this is one of those things where a player comes into a new environment and has that one down year. We see this all the time with players. Maybe the best example I can think of is Lindor coming from Cleveland to New York and having a year that was underwhelming. And that happens every once in a while with some of these guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was it for Tucker?
You asked about his OPS?
Yeah.
This year?
Yes.
It's just over 700.
Yeah. God, it's even lower than I thought.
It's like 714.
He's right around treading water for that like 100 OPS plus mark. And I feel like anecdotally, guys that stick around that mark kind of just end up sticking around there. I feel like if you're, it's hard to really get going.
Yeah. I think this is the weight of the contract. 60
It
mil.
might be, and you're supposed to be a huge piece to a Dodgers team, and this might be kind of a thing where it's like trying to produce to match expectations, and that throws it off. It's like trying to swing too hard in golf, and it throws your mechanics off. I don't think, and now that ironically, Tucker's absolutely not swinging that hard. You can see that in the bat speed, but I think something's this is off mentally or mechanically. That's going to be a going theme with a lot of these guys, but
absolutely. No. All right. Rebound or staying down? I think I know the answer to this one, and I want to put him in the context of a dynasty and keeper league. Austin Riley.
Riley is so weird. Riley is so weird because he does still have the physical tools. You can see it. He still looks like Austin Riley, but we're several years away now from when he was the top third baseman in baseball, or like one of the better ones. I do not think so.
You know what Junior Caminero is doing? That's what Austin Riley used to do. And he's not doing that at all. Like not even close.
No.
It's aggravating. So in the context, look, in a redraft, I think you could cut bait with Austin Riley, not a problem. But in a keeper or a dynasty, like I think you're just stuck, right?
For a shallow keeper league, I think you kind of, I mean, the other thing he has going for him is he plays in Atlanta. Like there's going to be RBI potential there. And so I think his overall, and third base sucks.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got some, I think you're in too deep.
Yeah.
What are you going to get for him? Right. You're not going to get much for buying it.
No, it's really tough. I think you just kind of got to bench him and hope for the best in those types of leagues. All right, next up, Geraldo Perdomo, rebound or staying down?
Everything that Geraldo Perdomo did well last year, he is kind of still doing this year, which is weird. because you wouldn't think it. The home runs, he's not hitting 20 home runs again, but
no,
everything else is kind of like it's pretty good. I think, yeah, I think our expectation. Well, it's weird because everyone did kind of expect that to be a fluke. That was relative to. I don't know what his ABV was, or ADP was rather by the draft.
it was
I don't know what his ADP
sixth
was.
round.
Yeah, it was late.
No, early sixth.
Was this well relative to what his production was last year? I mean, that's kind of late, right?
I mean, for a guy who's never done it before, it was his 20 home runs. I think people were baking in a little bit of regression because otherwise that's a third round pick. But
well, it was 20 home runs hitting. What did he hit? 290 with 27 steals.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good last year.
He was good last year. He was very good. So what's changed?
720 plate appearances. Jesus. 100 RBI, 98 runs. Gosh, yeah, man. Geraldo Perdomo, what a guy. What has changed? What an excellent question. I think it's just a couple really small things that have added up to be very consequential. A lack in some gap power, a few balls not going over the fence, things like that overall can have a really big impact. But I think generally, I would think Perdomo has a pretty decent second half.
Fair enough.
I think it's going to be about the same as this half, maybe even slightly better.
I would hope that it's better than this half because he's been dropped in a lot of the shallow leagues that I'm in. So, shortstop being a fairly deep position, guys with multiple position eligibility. Here's one for you. And now that I've just thought about this. Who has a better second half, Geraldo Perdomo or Otto Lopez?
Oh, I think it's going to be Lopez.
Yeah, I agree. But that's not a question that anybody had going into the season. Who's going to have a better year, Otto Lopez or Perdomo? Everyone would have said Perdomo. And here we are. Otto Lopez has been money. All right.
My guy.
Yeah. All right. Next up here on the list is Michael Busch. Rebound or staying down? 30 some odd homers last year. Not on that pace this year.
Yeah. Busch is so weird. And I feel kind of vindicated for just being completely out on him all offseason, which I don't even think was necessarily well-founded, but I just never really believed in that profile that he has. Again, weak hitting platoon, not platoon, but like a lefty, weak swinging lefty. Overall for Michael Busch, I do not think that I don't think the slug's going to come back, great in on-base percentage leagues because he walks a ton. But as far as driving in runs, as far as being able to actually produce towards home run totals, no, I don't believe in it.
Yeah. I never bought into Michael Busch. I understand he had a great year last year. He was great in the minor leagues. But he, if I'm not mistaken, even in the beginning of last year, was platooned. And they stopped platooning him because you basically can't sit a guy who was that hot for that long. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he ever really lost that platoon issue that he had hitting left-handers. So you're talking about a thin margin of error here, because you go back to hitting lefties like you normally did, or you just keep hitting them like you normally do, and you regress even slightly against the opposite hand, righties. You have this. This is what happens. And a lot of the Cubs hitters are having down years this year, which is with the exception of Dansby, Swanson over the last 14 days. Okay. A lot of, and PCA, I get it. Okay. But
I'm sorry, who?
Some guy named Pete Crow Armstrong. I don't know who he is. The rest of the lineup really riding the struggle bus. I wonder if something's going on there at Wrigley, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to some pitchers really quickly here. Kevin Gausman, rebounder, staying down. ERA is over 4, but he just had a great outing a couple days ago. He's Kevin Gausman. The splitter comes and goes. He comes and goes. Overall, end of year, he's going to be about 3.80 ERA, 1.1 WHIP. He's Kevin Gausman.
You reckon?
I think so. Right?
I think the split ain't splitting as much as it used to. It hasn't been great. It's been all right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with Gausman. He lives and dies by that splitter really working, and it has been fine. And maybe he catches a great couple eyes. But you may remember his first 2 starts of the year, he was untouchable. Yes. And so since then, I mean, that ERA, I might be able to pull this up. Since those first 2 starts of the year, Gausman has been, those starts are going to outweigh what his production has been since then. And that's going to be what's most relevant coming forward, which has been not that kind of elite player that he's been. I know I'm pulling it up. I'm making sure. Give me a moment. I'm stalling for time.
Kevin Gausman and Cade Cavalli were the 2 players at that point in the season that had back-to-back 10-plus strikeout games. It was Gausman and Cavalli.
Which is awesome. Since those 2 starts, Gausman's a 4.65 ERA.
Not good, Bob.
Not good, Bob. And that's a difference of 0.45 on the overall ERA. And I'm just like, I think a lot of the stuff you love about Gausman isn't there as plentiful this year. I think in a shallow league, this may be a weak start streamer.
I would try to sell if you can. Try and get something for him.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and do that in one of my leagues. We'll see
luck.
what I can get. I'm going to tease that forever for the listeners out there, and I'll let you know if I can get anything for him. All right, next up, Bryan Woo. Rebound or staying down?
Rebound. I have to believe it. He's too good. He is too good. He might have the best fastball that is under 100 miles an hour in baseball. He is outstanding. I love him so much. I think he has to be good. It doesn't make sense that he's not.
Right. His left on base percentage is super low.
Right.
Super low. Like way too low. So I would anticipate
in Seattle, like something's got to give here.
Right. I would not worry too much about Bryan Woo. If the term buy low applies here, I guess it could, but it's not like he's been god awful to where he hasn't been usable. It's just not as dominant as last season, but I think he's going to get back to that. And last up on the list here, a guy who got shelled today in 4 innings of work, Freddie Peralta. Rebound or staying down?
I think it's going to be a rebound, but we've talked about this before. Also, I'm just seeing now that the Cubs scored 23 runs. What?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I shouldn't. I'm sorry. I missed this somehow.
Yeah. Dansby had 8 RBIs of the 23. You take that out and they still win by double digits. Pretty nuts.
Good Lord. God bless the Chicago Cubs. And Alex Bregman goes over 5. I can't believe
it. We'll talk about Bregman coming up
in another episode. Yeah. Anyway, Freddie Peralta. We've talked about him before, and like the stuff's too good. We kind of believe in him, and I do sort of believe that. Although I've looked a little bit deeper, it's not the same kind of stuff. I think a lot of metrics have it a little bit down year over year. And I'm starting to be a little more hesitant. And I think Peralta is a guy that I want to say is bench him till he proves his worth.
Yeah.
I think he's in timeout.
He is. I think his main problem is he pitches for the Mets.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying, didn't they commit like, what was it, 6 errors on one play or something ridiculous?
Well, I mean, sure, but the Mets generally, Lindor is still a great shortstop. They still generally are strong defensively, I think.
Unless let's hit to left field.
Well,
How much does he get paid to misplay fly balls?
What, Soto?
Yes.
He is paid to look at balls in the batter's box. That is what he gets paid to do.
That's true.
And he is one of the all-time best at it. So
yeah. Yeah, Freddie Peralta's really riding the struggle bus. Another guy with a really low left on base percentage relative to the last few seasons of his career. Strikeout rate way down. Walk rate about where you expect it to be. Home run rate about where you expect it to be. Yeah, he's just the BABIP is higher than it was last year, but it's higher than normal, but not crazy.
Sure.
So you're talking. He's not a 4.5 ERA guy. He's not a 2.7 ERA guy. Split the difference. That's what he is. About a 3.6, 3.7, which is where he's been most of his career. So I think he can regress to that, regressing to the mean in this case, in which case you're probably looking at some decent performances down the stretch here in the second half.
It's tricky though, because look at the strikeouts here. I mean, that's down to 22% from 28%. And that's a significant difference that can really be the margins to when you become a very solid pitcher to someone who has a whip of 1.37.
Yeah, true.
Well, I don't know. I think with Peralta, maybe we've been I think we've given him a little too much credit for
too much credit. That's possible. It's possible, but that's what makes these players in particular in this segment so interesting. Cal Raleigh, Kyle Tucker, Austin Riley, Geraldo Perdomo, Michael Busch, Kevin Gausman, Bryan Woo, and Freddie Peralta is that they were all drafted to be impact players on your fantasy squads, and they just haven't really been that. And so I think it makes it really interesting to think, are these guys who are proven commodities, maybe with the exception of Michael Busch and Geraldo Perdomo, these proven commodities here, can they bounce back to what they've been in the past? That is the mystery question that we're trying to answer, and the question that's hard to balance at this point in the season, because, as we said earlier, it's less about what you can do and what you are doing the further we get along into the season. We're going to wrap it up right there. We'll be back next Friday with a brand new episode. To make sure you never miss it, or any episode for that matter, please subscribe. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have a question for us to answer right here on the pod, reach out to us on social media, leave a comment on YouTube, hit us up on the PL Discord, or email us at theshallowspod@gmail.com. He's Carson Picard at Carson Picard on Blue Sky. I'm Eric Hendrickson at Eric Hin on Blue Sky and Twitter, reminding you that murky waters are fine if you know how to swim. And you know what? That was a lot of murky watering we were doing today. See you next time in the shallows.
Take care, y'all.